Today's episode is brought to you by Achieve Unite, a global leader in leadership development, business acceleration, and trusted partnerships. Achieve Unite combines deep expertise, data analytics, and AI to help companies accelerate revenue, control costs, elevate talent, and build trust. They're more than advisors. They deliver results with their proven three-part approach: talent development, ecosystem strategy, and profitable growth programs. Whether you're strengthening alliances, enhancing internal systems, or optimizing your partner ecosystem, Achieve Unite is the partner you need for success. Are you a CX leader who's ready to get executive buy-in and measurable results? The Trusted Guide Roadmap Masterclass is back and registration is now open. We share ROI models and walk you through proven frameworks to drive successful change. But what distinguishes this course is the focus on leading change by becoming a trusted guide. Seats are limited and the next session starts February 12th. Don't wait. Visit empoweredcx.com to secure your spot today. Welcome to the Delighted Customers Podcast. I am so glad you're here. We challenge conventional thinking about customer experience because I believe that improving experiences isn't just good for business, it's a powerful way to make a meaningful difference in people's lives. Each week, we feature thought-provoking conversations with industry thought leaders from a variety of backgrounds, offering unique perspectives and actionable insights. Get ready to sharpen your leadership and transform your approach to customer experience. Let's dive in. Today on the Delighted Customers Show, I am so excited to have Marbue Brown back on the show again. We had him on before talking about his awesome book, The Blueprint for Customer Obsession. He is the founder and CEO of Customer Obsession Advantage, and great guy, CX thought leader. And I'm so excited because he's been a contributing author to a book now that is now an international bestseller. And it's called The AI Mindset, Thriving in Civilization's Next Big Disruption. What a catchy title. Marbu, welcome to the show.
And Mark, I'm so glad to be back with you. I'm looking forward to us having a great discussion. Just can't wait to jump in.
Well, and I humbly admit that I am a neophyte when it comes to AI and how it gets used. I think they're, relatively speaking, I think it's probably true for most CX leaders and even business leaders in general. And so I'm hoping that we can talk about this new book, which has taken off dramatically well, which I'm so grateful for. I mean, it feels to me like people are just interested, they're thirsty for anything that can help them with how in the world to use AI.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. And I think the way this book was put together is really a great concept. Having different experts come in and take different angles of AI, whether people talk about, how AI is going to be used from the perspective of in the educational realm, or, whether it's the cybersecurity realm, or, like all the different ways. How do you put strategies together for your business? And so I tackled, the CX perspective. So there's a bunch of different authors coming together, and I just think it's a great concept for how it's put together and gives people the opportunity to.
Would you say the white space for the book has to do with this desire for people to know how to help improve their business, whatever their business outcomes are?
Well, I think that, a lot of people are trying to figure out what's their next best action relative to AI. And, some people are at the very front end and they don't even know where to get started. Some people have gotten started, but they're not familiar with all the possibilities that are out there, and they're trying to figure out what's their next best action, right? And so that's the white space that the book is trying to fill. Trying to help people, make those decisions in a very informed way. And, in my chapter, one of the things that I tell people is you got to start with the use case, not with the technology. If you start with the use case, the things that you need to do will become much clearer. If you start with the technology, if you're enamored with the technology and just thinking about how cool AI is, and you're trying to think about, what should I do with AI from that perspective, then you're going to get lost in the weeds and stuff like that and probably not make the best decision on your next best action.
Yeah, well said. I think I've heard people say technology in search of a strategy is a path to failure.
It certainly is. I would agree with that 100%.
So tell us, thanks for framing out the book itself. Tell us about your contribution and what you chose to talk about and how you broke it down.
My chapter is called Transforming Customer Experience with AI, Strategies and Innovation. And, a lot of people look at AI as something that, will wind up displacing the personal aspects of customer experience with automation, and they think, that can't be good. But one of the things I love to tell people is that an automated action or an automated interaction is not inherently impersonal, and a person-to-person interaction itself is not inherently personal. I mean, you've probably been on the phone with a customer service agent, or you may have interacted with somebody in person in a store, and that person was not really attentive to your concerns, your needs. They were dismissive. It wasn't a very personable type of interaction. And then you may have, had the occasion to, deal with, could have even been like a chatbot or something like that was put together by a company like Amazon, where they kind of thought through all the details, working backwards from you. And even as you took different steps in using it, it all felt so natural, like, hey, somebody thought about me before I got here, right? So, that's the kind of thing that, I start off by getting people to understand that, it's not inherently impersonal if you're doing an automated interaction. And if you're dealing with a person, it's not inherently personal, because not everybody is focused on you like the way they should be, right? So either way, you got to sweat the details. Now, all that said, that means that there are ways that AI can be used to enhance customer experience. And so that's what my piece is all about. What are some of the ways that AI is going to be helpful to the customer experience as opposed to, being hurtful or impersonal, right?
Right. So that's a great segue. As you were talking, I was thinking about a slide that's in the masterclass, a Trusted Guide Roadmap masterclass that I teach. And toward the end of the class, we talk about proving the value of CX, really. And we start off with a slide that really has nothing to do with ROI modeling. It's just really an income statement. In its simplest form, it's revenue minus cost equals profit. And your C-suite, particularly your CFO, is interested in either increasing revenue, decreasing cost, or increasing profit. So how do we, and I would add a fourth one, which is risk. Nowadays, how do you reduce risk, which could affect both those things? Yeah. But that formula at its core is somehow AI is going to have to impact that to get the attention of the C-suite. And number one, would you agree? And how do you, in your chapter, did you discuss how companies can move those needles?
Well, look, let me give you one. So in my chapter, what I talk about initially are 8 perennially intractable problems that CX leaders have been trying to solve for a long time, and
Okay.
how AI helps them to crack the code on solving those perennially intractable problems. But let me take one very specific one that deals with this equation you're talking about, and
Mm.
that is onboarding new customer service associates in a contact center. Okay, so think about what you have to do and the lead time that it takes to onboard customer service associates. Well, this is a job where the amount of different tasks and stuff like that that a customer service associate has to master to be great at delivering service for a customer can take a while to do, and it might involve them doing a lot of different things. And so one of the ways that companies have done this, they have role played. They have to take people offline, have them role play with the new agents. They can't take a lot of people offline to do that. They can't take people offline for long periods of time to do that. But with AI, you can simulate that whole experience. You can simulate even variations of the different kinds of contacts that a customer service associate's going to have, right? And so instead of you, pulling people offline, you can now have your class do these simulations, and they can do as many iterations that they need to do to get very proficient, and even to get proficient in a very short space of time. So you can shrink the time it takes to onboard these folks. You can onboard them with a higher level of proficiency, right?
Right.
And, so they can start taking live calls much faster. You really kind of reduce the gap between them and tenured agents, right? And you can see, just as I described that, how that is going not only to help to create better customer experience, but it's also going to drop dollars to the bottom line, right?
Right. Right. Yeah, that's a great example. And, getting people up and running in the call center, contact center, for example, really other places as well, the same concept, what you just shared, can be used to accelerate that, reduce the cost associated with pulling people off the line to do it, and in essence, in one way, give them actual better training because they're not limited by someone's availability or someone's knowledge. You can program in what you need them to learn.
Yeah, and look, there are companies that have already deployed, this approach, and some of them have reduced agent time to proficiency by 50%, and at the same time increase their customer experience scores by 33%. One company reduced their time for agent certification to go on live calls by 75%. So, I mean, this is already making a difference. There are solutions out there like this, and, these AI-powered solutions have been deployed by some big banks. I mean, there are, these are in play already, right? I'll give you another example. What about the lag time for agents to research answers to customers' inquiries? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you get a customer on the line. One of the things, you often hear people say, "Can I put you on hold, for X period of time so I can go research this?" And sometimes they have to come back and say, "Well, I'm not done researching this. I just want to let you know that I'm still working on this." And so that can stretch 2, 4, 6, 8 minutes. But now, AI is bringing a new capability where it can pull from all of these different, sources where instead of having like agents, navigating to this system and navigating to that system, sometimes maybe they're going to 3, 4, 5 systems to find all the information they need. Now, in seconds instead of minutes, AI can basically populate that information for these folks and have it ready for them to be able to answer, the customer questions in seconds instead of minutes. That's a whole nother area, and again, there are concrete examples of organizations and businesses that have already deployed these, and they have really cut the time that it takes for agents to be able to respond to customers. And so here's the thing, that's a better experience for customers, but it's also savings, right? Because you can think about call centers. If you can save 30 seconds off the average average time it takes to handle a customer inquiry,
Yeah, right.
you can save, the amount of people that you have to do that. And if you can save minutes off, if you can save a couple of minutes off, just think, the multiplication effect is enormous, right?
Yeah.
And so that's another example, but that's also one of those perennially intractable problems that people have been trying to solve. How do you, populate stuff for the agents very quickly so that they don't have to put people on hold? But can I take that a step further?
Mm-hmm.
And that is, it's not just about being able to populate that kind of information for the agents to answer faster. You can also populate other things. You can populate information that helps the agents to understand what touch points has this customer been to before they got to me? Okay. Yeah. What were the kind of outcomes that they had before they got to me? Right.
Yeah. Right.
Or you can populate for them information about this customer that you have in other databases that give that agent the ability to speak to the customer in such a way that the customer feels like, hey, this company gets me. Right. I'm not just like a dollar sign to them. And so, there's a whole set of things like this that AI is making possible for the contact center that just, people have been beating their heads against the wall to try to give their agents these kinds of capabilities for a long time. And now, AI is just accelerating their ability to be able to do that. And it's better experiences and, better dollars. And, So
as you're talking, my mind is thinking about the course I teach at Michigan State. It has to do with driving customer loyalty. It's customer relationship management, and how do we nurture the relationship with the customer throughout their life cycle with us. And what you just described is a way to do that. You describe giving the call center agent information at their fingertips that would have taken minutes or even longer in nanoseconds that they weren't even able to maybe even access before. And I think about the kind of information. So, for example, if AI could be used to evaluate the customer's potential level of frustration with the with the brand, with the organization in general, based on the number of clicks that they had on the website, the number of times they went to the help click button, now the fact that they've channel jumped from what business would like to think is a self-service lower cost channel to now a costlier channel in the call center because they couldn't get what they needed offline in self-service, and now they've had to call in. So AI would be able to tell the agent, hey, this customer, maybe there's a color coding or something. Hey, they've been somewhere else. They're yellow to red now. So just be aware. Here are some questions you might want to ask to gauge where they are emotionally.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think of that. Like summarizing the customer's prior contact history.
Yeah.
Okay. And you could, like you said, you could color code it red, yellow, green. Probably if they've been to a couple of touch points before they showed up to this particular contact center, it's probably not green, right? because
Right.
they're trying to accomplish something that they haven't been able to accomplish yet. Okay, so that actually would enable the agent to deal with that customer differently. They may help the agent to begin with some de-escalation types of practices and everything like that that they can use to help calm the customer down. I mean, think about it. With AI, you can have chatbots where the customer could deal with the chatbot. The chatbot can be programmed to understand frustration and escalate to a live agent. Okay? That live agent getting that contact from the chatbot, knowing that it's coming from the chatbot, can actually deal with that customer differently than if it was a native direct call into the contact center, right?
Yeah.
So, these are the kinds of things that AI is being designed to do, and really, or AI is enabling people to design into, whether it's the automation, whether it's the set of tools that the contact center agents dealing with, whether it's IVRs, all of these things are just oodles and oodles and oodles of degrees smarter than they were before.
So we talked about Marbu, profit, revenue, cost, and you've written about 8 intractable problems that companies have had. And as we think about AI, how would you recommend that business leaders approach using this? How would they begin to, number one, think about it, frame it out, and two, where should they prioritize?
Well, look, people need to think about the problems that they've already been trying to solve. They need to think about those use cases that they've been beating their heads against the wall and start asking themselves, if I apply AI to this use case, can I crack the code? Right? And the plain and simple fact is, in a lot of cases, they can do that. I was talking about some of these problems like summarizing the customer's, contact history. That's one of those things that people have been beating their heads against the wall. Populating information quickly for CSAs so that they can be able to answer customers' questions in seconds instead of with long pauses over minutes, right? That's a problem people have been beating their head against the wall. Or look, there are tons of unstructured contacts that companies have with customers, and they don't have a great way to parse that. They've never been great at parsing that. They've been beating their heads against the wall, trying to solve that. Now, people need to look at those within their own context and say, look, these are problems we've been trying to solve for a long time. Which one of these is going to give us the most impact with our customers right away if we apply AI to that, right? And then they need to go after that. And, the good news is that some of the things that I'm talking about right now, they don't necessarily have to build from scratch, because there's companies out there that are now deploying these at scale, these solutions. And I think the one thing I need to be very clear about is that, sometimes people think, oh, I can throw ChatGPT at this. No, you can't, right? I mean, companies are using proprietary large language models that have been trained on their systems, on their content, so that it will be able to accomplish these goals that I'm talking about. And so there is an investment to be made, but the payoff is so big that it's absolutely worth it for them to go after that.
Are there any warnings or roadblocks, potholes that you might suggest they be careful not to fall into?
Well, first of all, when I think of potholes, I think of, you know, there's a lot of companies that are popping up here and popping up there and making claims and all of those kinds of things. You want to do your homework. You want to do your due diligence to make sure that any company that you're dealing with actually can deliver the capabilities that they're claiming that they're able to deliver. Because not all of them can deliver the capabilities that you know, they purport that they're able to deliver, right? So you need to make sure that you've done your homework, that you check the references, that you really have a good understanding of whether these capabilities can be delivered by the folks who, you know, are claiming to do that. And I think that is a very important pothole. I think the other pothole is not to get enamored with the technology like we were talking about up front. It is about solving use cases that you need to solve. So don't focus on the shiny object. Focus on the use case that you need to solve and make sure that you're using AI to apply to that specific use case. And then I think another thing that people need to be careful about is, I've talked about the perennially intractable problems, but sometimes AI is opening up opportunities for people to solve problems in some ways that they had never thought about before. And I think, the Sam's Club example, and I don't know if you've heard about that, is probably one of the great ones. I mean, look, I love Costco. Costco is one of the companies that's profiled in my book, Blueprint for Customer Obsession. But I'm sure you've had the occasion to get in a traffic jam on your way leaving Costco.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, what Sam's Club has done is they have set it up now. They're actually even creating Sam's Club stores. They've got a concept store open already now that has no cash registers, right? So, and they're putting other things in the spaces where cash registers would have been. And so now you can go with your app, go in the store, you can scan all the things that you want to buy. When you're leaving the store, they have an AI-powered system that's essentially the checker, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of, you having to stop and have somebody check your receipt, it's the checker that can actually, kind of look in your cart, see what you've got, right? And, let you out. Or it can flag you if you've got stuff in your cart that you haven't paid for, right? I actually even use one of the smart carts in the Amazon Fresh store. And they actually have a lane where you can go through that lane. You put your stuff in the cart. You're using your app, you're checking everything, and you can go through that lane and it checks you out. It rings a bell and, you're out of there. You don't have to go to, So those are examples of how, AI is opening up ways for people to do things that they previously never would have even thought about. Right?
Yeah.
And so there's those kinds of things. And so one of the pitfalls, the potholes, if you will, is don't only think about the things that you've been beating your head against the wall. Be open to other possibilities, because there may be opportunities to do things that you never even thought were possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. So I'm going to pull out some gems based on what we were talking about. What we've been talking about so far. One of those is that there is an opportunity to leverage AI in the world of customer experience, and this podcast, delighting customers. And the way to do that, though, is really to start with the use case, right, and then apply the technology.
Absolutely.
Not vice versa, not technology in search of a strategy.
Yeah.
And then you shared, like, in terms of what's going to catch the attention of the C-suite, is there are applications like the call center, for example, that where you can implement it to train up, to improve the onboarding for new employees by using AI instead of other human resources that are very costly,
Yeah.
and automate that process as well. You can and should look for opportunities in the customer journey where there's issues, where there may be a use case that you've already been trying to solve, that maybe you want to start there with AI, and don't invent some new problem based on what you've been told, or project based on what you've been told the technology can do. Start with the use cases you've already been struggling with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the last two things I captured, and you can come back and correct me if I fill in any holes. Speaking of holes, is potholes, and you shared two. One is when you're partnering with someone, there's a lot of people popping up at rapid speed in the industry who are offering solutions. Find yourself a vendor you can trust, who has a proven track record, who's reliable. And two, finally, I think what I heard you say is don't just limit what you're going to focus on to maybe the problems. While we just said you should use cases that affect the customer's journey, keep your eyes open to what may be things you haven't even thought about that you can use technology to help you with.
Yeah. And you know what? If you're continuously working backwards from the customer, those things will make themselves known to you, if I could say that, right? I mean, the whole problem of checking out of Costco or
retail
a Sam's Club, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that checkout experience. There's ways that you can improve upon that, and if you're working backwards from the customer, people figure out how to do that, right? They may not have thought about applying AI to that before, but now that becomes a new possibility for them. And so, when you start thinking about those kinds of things, there's new opportunities.
Excellent. All right. So, Marbu, this has been a great conversation. I have one more question that I want to ask you, and that is the question I ask all my guests, which is, what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
So, it's a great question, and when I think about my 20-year-old self, one piece of advice I would give myself is to take the posture of a learner more, right?
Yeah.
I think of a time when I was in college. Our teacher gave us a homework assignment. He did not teach the subject matter. We had to go home and read it and figure it out. And it's a crazy thing because we were in an accounting class. Double entry accounting is the way, but he gave us an assignment on single entry accounting, and it's like, who does that? So I read this thing. I think I got it all down pat. I do my homework. And he comes to class, he doesn't collect the homework. He starts teaching. He actually starts teaching us what the assignment was about. And I kept interrupting him, and then he turned around and he said, Marbu, I'm teaching you, but you're not listening to me. And a light bulb went off in my head, and it was like, I never really understood this thing when I read it. I had it all wrong. And he's telling me the right way, and I'm not listening, right? And so that's something I would tell myself to do more of. Take the posture of a learner.
Excellent. Great advice. I think we could all benefit from that. Marbu, the name of the book is The AI Mindset, Thriving in Civilization's Next Big Disruption. Sounds like a fascinating book. Go out and get it if you're, it's already an international bestseller. Congratulations on that. And thank you so much for being a guest on the show.
And Mark, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. I really enjoyed it. I knew I would because we have a great time together when we do these. And so thank you for inviting me back. And hey, looking forward to the next time, that we get together to do this.
Same here. Thanks so much.
Can I just also I totally forgot about this. But if people want to, get a hold of me and you want to get in touch, they can always check me out at customerobsession.net. And I want to emphasize it's .net, customerobsession.net. Or they can, connect with me on LinkedIn. Those are a couple of different ways that they can find me if they want to have a follow-up conversation.
Great. I was going to ask you, but you beat me to the punch. Great. Well, thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks so much for being on the show. And we'll absolutely stay in touch.
Absolutely.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Delighted Customers Podcast. It would mean so much if you would take a moment to subscribe. You can go to Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Click on the plus sign or follow button, and that will ensure that you don't miss an episode, and it helps get the word out to others. While you're there, I'd love it if you'd leave a 5-star review. I look forward to seeing you back here next Thursday.
Marketing is hard. But I'll tell you a little secret. It doesn't have to be. Let me point something out. You're listening to a podcast right now, and it's great. You love the host. You seek it out and download it. You listen to it while driving, working out, cooking, even going to the bathroom. Podcasts are a pretty close companion. And this is a podcast ad. Did I get your attention? You can reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Libsyn Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a pre-produced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience in their favorite podcasts with Libsyn Ads. Go to libsynads.com, that's LIBSYN, ads.com today.